He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we
get it, people? What they want.
Jalen Rose, what a Monday Night Football game we had last night. The Raiders took a 17-0 lead, but no one in the world believed in it. We all live bet the Chiefs to come back, and come back they did. However, the Raiders came back from the Chiefs' comeback. They scored a touchdown. They could have kicked the ball through the uprights easily to tie the game at 30, but instead they went for two, and Josh Jacobs' knee hit the ground before the ball crossed the plane. This was a very, very criticized decision. In the moment, I didn't like it. How do you feel about that decision, and then transition into the God Travis Kelce's performance?
I'm not being a Tuesday morning quarterback Josh McDaniels. You have to kick the field goal.
I felt the same way. In the moment, I felt the same way.
You have to like this greed that we're seeing teams have is great, that you feel like all of a sudden we're just going to take a stranglehold on the game. Josh Jacobs is having more yards than he's ever had in his career. I was rooting. Josh Jacobs was on my fantasy team. Helped me win high points this week. He and Mahomes. I wanted him to get the score. But I was like, man, just tie the game. Just tie the game. And so when it almost becomes a buzzkill in a lot of ways when he gets stopped. You sorting through the pile, you see his knee is down, and all of a sudden it seems like you're starting to chase points. And ultimately, I think that's what cost him the game.
It was, and it was also a performance, a virtuistic performance, not just by Mahomes, but by Travis Kelce. My man had 25 yards from scrimmage, 4 touchdowns. Jalen, how many touchdowns did the Chiefs score? 4. How many of them did Kelce account for? 4.
In a lot of different ways. At first, he felt like, man, I'm just wide open. They just feed me and feed me. Then he decided, you know what, I'm going to have to catch a little bit, run a little bit, show a little athleticism. Yep. Like, that's really nice. That's nice work right there. And now that's just inexcusable.
I mean, you can't leave. He already had 3. He already had 3, and you left him open in the end zone.
They might be throwing it to Travis Kelce on that 4th one. They just might be. But I want to give him a lot of credit because he in a lot of ways, you know, Gronk is out of the league. Obviously, he's retired. But Kelce is taking the mantle as the best tight end. Jacoby, the most productive tight end. And you having 4 touchdowns for the first time on Monday Night Football, that's historic.
Absolutely. Well, Jalen, the league is looking into 2 roughing the passer penalties that occurred in critical spots over the weekend. Of course, we spoke about Tom Brady's yesterday, and we have a new one, which I think is even worse. This is Chris Jones not just sacking David Carr, but taking the ball from him, becoming the ball carrier before falling, breaking his fall with his left hand, and they said his complete weight went on the quarterback, which is why he got a roughing the passer call. Jalen, this is just stupid at this point.
So when Tua gets injured on Sunday, Jalen and Jacoby talk about it on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then when he gets injured on Thursday, and everybody's talking about it Thursday night, we were saying, we told you so. The exact same thing. Jacoby, what happens is now you go so very far to try to over-legislate the rule. And of course you want to protect the quarterback. And I'm not even mad at the rule, but it's the implementation of the rule and how it's affecting these games. In particular, you said what made this one worse? He had the ball.
He's the ball carrier. He
had the ball. No doubt about it. And it's literally right in front of everybody to see. And Grady Jerry, I just feel bad. I feel like Slick Rick for him. I'm feeling sad and blue. Now that I see that again, I'm like, come on, man.
It's a tackle. That's a tackle.
That's a tackle. Isn't this tackle football? Aren't that what they're playing? And so I think they've gone too far since the Tua injury, and I think it's going to start coming back towards the medium, and these 2 calls are going to highlight it.
Well, before we move on from this game, it is worth just asking the simple question. Where my homies? Because the last last 2 weeks, Patrick Mahomes has been absolutely electric. When they're down 17-0, I'm opening up my gambling app being like, I'm betting Moneyline Chiefs right now.
Right where he got it right where he wanted.
Everybody watching knew that Mahomes and the Chiefs somehow, some way would come back. And even though they had to get through that terrible roughing the passer call at a critical spot at the end of the first half, the Chiefs came back, put together some great drives, all because of that man and the magic that he performs.
And also Valdez-Scantling, he did a really good job. McCole Hartman was getting open. And Patrick Mahomes, just as you mentioned, just a dual threat. Throwing it to backs out of the backfield, quick throws, throws up the field, throws across the middle, runs for first downs, different arm angles. Like, he's an incredible player. And the one thing about watching him that I love is like a Ja Morant in basketball. It seems it's off schedule. I love that. It's not like everything is just like a drill and it's surgical. It's more like he doesn't. When the ball gets snapped, he doesn't know what he's gonna do. And I appreciate that when I'm watching him play.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I also want to mention this about this game. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are holding Pacheco out because they don't want to put too much Pacheco on tape. Trust me, he will be a big part of their offense later on in the season. Jalen, it is never too early to get ready for a game that we all had circled on the schedule once it was released, and that is this upcoming Sunday afternoon, 4:25 Eastern. It is these Chiefs, who put together two great performances in back-to-back weeks after losing to the Colts, against the Buffalo Bills in Kansas City. In my opinion, the two best teams in the AFC go to head-to-head. The same place where they went head-to-head in the playoffs last year, and it came down to the last 13 seconds. The Bills Mafia, the Griselda family, will be infiltrating Kansas. Mr. Rose, what do you see, Rose Stradamus? We're going to be talking about this game every day until Sunday. What do you see in Week 6 in Kansas City at 4:25 Eastern?
It's just going to be great to see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen on the field at the same time. After what happened in that historic playoff game last year, Jacoby.
Yup.
Like, that's one of the greatest football games and endings and high scoring.
They changed
on
the rules.
edge of your seat.
They changed the rules because of that game. They straight up had a meeting and changed the rules of football because of this contest. I can't wait.
But Stephon Diggs is a name that I'm going to throw out there to have 2 TDs. So I know you keep your betting app handy, and I know you're going to have Josh rushing for at least 1. But don't sleep on Diggs catching 2.
Okay, I will not sleep on that. And when it comes through, I will buy you an adult beverage. But right now we have to discuss the most important thing that happened on Sunday in the world of sports. It has nothing to do with football. It has nothing to do with the baseball playoffs. It has everything to do with Jalen Rose's appearance on Celebrity Jeopardy. It's a pre-tape show, so every time we brought it up, you had a little smile on your face, and I assumed it was because you did great. However, it didn't exactly go that way. Let's just take a little sampling of Jalen's performance on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Actually brewed more like a beer, this Japanese rice wine is about 15% alcohol and often drunk warm. Ike.
What is sake?
Yes. This word for a Swedish-style buffet comes from words meaning butter and table. Jalen.
What is buffet?
No. A traditional wedding vow says, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to do this. Jalen.
What is till death do us part?
Nope.
You could say, when you said till death do us part, you said with a question mark. You're looking around the studio like, what is till death do us part? Mr. Rose, I've seen you drink sake so many times. I've seen you order thousands of bottles of hot sake in my life. It is your #1 go-to. You love sushi restaurants. You don't even eat sushi. You're there just for the sake. And I saw you like this during the sake one. I saw you like this. And I was like, this is rigged. I know he knows that answer. This must be rigged. I'm going to launch an investigation. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Because of that sake answer alone, I know that they set this up for you to fail. It is not your fault, Mr. Rose. It is not your fault.
I love you too, brother. Thank you very much. But it was great to win money and support the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
You didn't win that money.
It was fun. I want to shout Mayim Bialik for having me on, a terrific host, Celebrity Jeopardy. I had an amazing time. But one of those things that you digest, Jacoby, that you underestimate is it's a little paragraph. And my vision ain't the best, and it ain't the closest. First off. The second is I got to read it and think about it, the answer. And underestimated that you also got to be fast pressing the button.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a lot of different muscle memory.
It's a lot.
And so on the ones that I felt like I knew, I'm pressing it like Saki, and I got frustrated. And then so like I'm gonna just press it every time now to see if it's red. And then they called on me a couple times. I wasn't even ready. I said words that was in the answer. There's like dumb answers that were words that were in the question. You know what I'm saying? Literally. And so also, I'm like,
to love and to till death do us part is not how it works, dog. No. To love and to cherish.
It's sickness and health.
Yeah.
It's sickness and health, right?
Jalen, hold on. We're not done. We're not done just relishing in this performance from Sunday. We have another clip.
That brings us to the end of Triple Jeopardy. Jalen, you're at minus 1,300. You still get to play Final Jeopardy.
Yes.
What did you write down?
I wrote Katrina.
Yes, you did. Unfortunately, that is not correct. How much did you wager?
All of it.
All of it, okay.
You know, I'm betting all of it at this point. You know what truly happens? Like some of the answers I feel like I know if I don't get them, and then sometimes I just find myself pressing it. And then that's why 2 of the times I answered, I said a word that was in the question.
I love Maya being like, I wrote Katrina. She's like, yes, you did. Yes, you did write Katrina. That's a name. But yes, you wrote that. That is not the correct answer.
But I guarantee you, and shout to my celebrity co-host who was up there doing a terrific job. The gentleman Ike who won, I guarantee you he gonna be the #1 seed.
That wasn't fair. You know what I mean? I feel like you should have gone to Ike and be like, let's go play one-on-one in the basketball in the parking lot right now. That's what you should have said to Ike. Like, me and you one-on-one in the parking lot right now, just so I can feel better about myself. You know what? You might have the answers on the Jeopardy board, but I got the answers on the court. All right, Ike. Jalen, I do want to say this. You did. I don't know if you won $30,000 for the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, but you earned $30,000 for the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, and that is what really is important. You can go to jrladetroit.com to get involved in something very special happening for the children in the community in which Jalen grew up. We will move on to some very important information about the upcoming NBA season. You don't want to miss who Jalen and I think will be some of the key breakout performers from this year's NBA season. Think some Pistons will be involved? Maybe. Coming to you live from the seaport above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we are so close to the tip-off of the NBA season, and we're going to be getting you ready for that here on Jalen and Jacoby. Today, we will focus our analysis on players that are going to have a breakout season. Now, they might be young players that will burst onto the scene, sort of like Desmond Bane did last year, or they could be older players that are going to make a leap or have a comeback. Now, Jalen, there's no surprise that you might have some Pistons on your list. Who are you going to start with?
Well, I'm just looking at Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey as a backcourt. And as I mentioned to you, when the Pistons are at their best, we've had all-star backcourts. My biological father, Jimmy Walker, my godfather, Dave Bean. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bad Boys. Rip Hamilton, Chauncey, Mr. Big Shot Billups. And we have that again, Jacoby, and Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. Both of these guys are going to be flirting with 17, 5, and 5 this season, creating for teammates, creating for each other, continuing to get better. Both of them competitive defensively. Cade is a terrific leader. I'm really excited about what we're going to see from Detroit basketball.
And it's not just Cade back there. It is also a gentleman by the name of Jaden Ivey, who is already drawing some wild player comparisons.
And the thing is about his player comparisons is when people are saying things like Ja Morant, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Russell Westbrook, that's all that matters. And so that makes my point. And the beautiful thing I like about this team and those players, mature beyond their years, beyond their age.
Absolutely. And you know I'm a front runner. You know I'm a bandwagon jumper. The Detroit Pistons have built something that I'm ready to jump on the bandwagon of. I will be in Detroit with you, sitting in the suite, sitting courtside as your +1 multiple times this season.
Let's do it.
Now, Jalen, I'm going to move on to my first pick. Now, this player is going to make a leap in the sense that we didn't really see him perform in college for odd reasons, and we haven't yet seen him perform in the pros to his potential, and that, of course, is James Wiseman. Because he is being added to a team that just won the championship. The only sort of hole in their roster was at that 5 spot. Kevon Looney did a great job for them through the playoffs, but Wiseman offers so much more with his skill set. He can be a screener, he can be a roller, you can even post him up, something that I don't think they'll do too much, but he offers them a new tool, a new weapon that they've never had before. I don't think that Wiseman would thrive in other environments, but when you are surrounded by a playmaker like Draymond, the gravity that pulls the defense like the Splash Brothers, it's just going to be so much opportunity for him in this offense to be successful that I expect a huge season from him. And again, I'm not saying he's the future face of the league, but I'm saying on this team, in this system, he will thrive this season.
We're going deeper into the box score, and of the players that we mentioned, I don't believe any have been all-stars and may or may not be this season. And that's why having a player like Wiseman on here is important, Jacoby, because he's going to play quality minutes. And you mentioned things that he gives them. How about just being tall? As you look at the landscape of the league, the Joker back-to-back MVP, Giannis, Embiid led the league in scoring. You're going to need that anchor down low to make those guys work and give you some work defensively.
Jalen, you've selected someone who's on my list, and I'm kind of upset about it, but please celebrate, who really broke on the scene last year, but is about to have a breakout this year in New Orleans.
Well, I wanted Larry Bird behind me on the show, but I prayed to his posters when you was booing him when he was a Celtic, so there it is. So I'll take this guy. I've been telling people the last couple of years when Willie Green took the job, if you want a stock to bet on in the NBA, I'm taking the Pelicans. Zion is returning. Let me say that out loud. In the best shape of his career. Brandon Ingram has improved as a playmaker, an all-star. CJ McCollum, 20-plus point scorer. Knockdown three-point shooter. Valanciunas, anchor down low. But you know that missing piece?
What's that missing piece?
You know that missing piece?
What's the missing piece?
Herb Jones.
Herb Jones.
See, he can basically guard anybody. And one of the things that he does is he got them go-go gadget arms, Jacoby. He jumped out there and blocked somebody's shot in the playoffs, a three-pointer. Okay? Like the level of defensive tenacity that he brings, the sky's the limit for his potential. And Grand Theft Alvarado, picking up guys from 94 feet.
Jalen, my next player to have a breakout season has been an all-star, has been an all-NBA player. But when you say breakout, you make a leap from one season to the next. Oh. And there is no one in the NBA that can perform better this season than they did last season, like Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons did not play basketball last season. And Ben Simmons' stock is so low right now. People on the internet are making fun of him for shooting an air ball at a press event right now as I speak. I'm buying all the Ben Simmons stock. He doesn't need to shoot. He doesn't need to dribble. He needs to defend many positions, and he needs to receive passes and dunk the basketball. If he's shooting from beyond 15 feet, which he doesn't do, that is a mistake. He is surrounded by scorers. He's surrounded by playmakers. He needs to do what he is best at, which is score in transition, play make on offense, and defend on defense. What they did this offseason, and I'm saying this offseason because Ben didn't play last season, they got a lot better on defense, and their roster makes a lot more sense than it did last year. Breakout season for Ben Simmons. I own all the Ben Simmons stock now, and you will all be trying to buy it from me in about 2 or 3 months. We're going to take the rest of this month to get you ready for the NBA season, so make sure you watch J&J every single day to get prepared for this upcoming NBA season we're so excited for. We're also very excited to come back after this very short break. You are watching J&J. And Jalen, I've got news about a versus battle that's going to be bigger than any one we've had to this point. The biggest one yet. We'll tell you who that is. Every day we have a show, what do?
We recognize the fact that Brittany Griner is still wrongfully detained, now 236 days, so we here at Jalen and Jacoby wish her a speedy, safe return to the United States.
Jalen, nothing gets you more excited than a potential versus battle. There are rumors on the internet that it is going to happen. Bad Boy versus So Def, the biggest versus battle yet. Your thoughts?
I'm happy to see JD. I'm happy to see Diddy on the big stage getting their shine. All of the artists that they've helped influence in one way, shape, or form, that they brought to the masses, the credibility, the remixes. Those have been 2 game-changing record labels, Bad Boy and So Def, representing the culture.
We'll be back tomorrow, ESPN 2, 4 p.m.